Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Richard Kadish, owner and broker in charge of Go Gated Realty, Hilton Head Island in Bluffton, South Carolina, and I'm here today to tell you a bit about buyer's agency. What is buyer's agency? Why you should have a buyer's agent, and what does it cost? All questions that I get fairly often because I generally do work as a buyer's agent here in the Hilton Head Bluffton marketplace, and I do have 38 years of experience here in Hilton Head and Bluffton, working as a buyer's agent. Well, first off, what is buyer's agency? Well, it's not seller's agency or listing agency. The seller's agent represents the seller. Every property which is listed in our multiple listing service has an agent who represents them, the seller. And of course their goal is to get the best price and the best terms for them, the seller. As a buyer's agent, and you have a right to a buyer's agent, the agent represents you. Both the buyer's agent, you and the seller's agent, we all want to reach an agreement if we can, but the buyer's agent wants the best terms, the best price for you, and in addition to which, of course, is looking out for your interests. And that's, in a summary, what buyer's agency is. It's also a fiduciary relationship. And some of the confusion that happens with buyers is they wonder, well, how can it not cost anything more when that agent is getting paid by the seller, but they're loyal to me? Well, that's because there's a difference between the financial payment to your buyer's agent, which only occurs at closing if you buy and if you close, and the fiduciary relationship. Now, the fiduciary means that it has to do with loyalty and obedience and obligation, performance to you, the buyer, as opposed to the seller. That's what the seller's agent is doing. So there is a difference between the payment, which is already in the price of every listed property and costs you nothing more, versus the fiduciary relationship, the buyer's agency relationship that I have with you. So why do you need a buyer's agent? Well, we've already talked about some of it. It's a question of really doing the best you can do, getting the most help you can get. There are plenty of examples of why that you would need a buyer's agent. First off, it makes sense to have somebody on your side, somebody who is representing your interests and looking out for you, protecting your interests. In a general sense, that's it, but let me give you a quick example. If you as a buyer come to me and tell me how much you love a home, how much you want it, what a bargain it is, you'd even pay more than the listed price for the home, well, I certainly am not going to tell all of that to the seller's agent, because that would compromise your position in your purchasing position. It wouldn't be allowing you to get the best deal, so to speak. So we have to be careful about what we say. We don't reveal too much to the other side, and likewise them with us. And that would be one example. Another is the way the contracts are drawn. The seller's contract would say, we would like you to do as little inspection as possible. Please hire a bad inspector, and let's just keep it to good working order. And as a buyer's agent, well, I don't like those things at all. I'm going to get the best inspector I can get for you. I'm going to draw the contract that says that we want things to be satisfactory completely to your sole discretion. And that's because when you buy a home or a condominium, the roof, the foundation, the insulation, the age and the condition, these are all factors in what you're buying. You want to know what you're buying. You want to be protected if that air conditioner, which runs fine, is rusty and old. You didn't know it was 14 years old. It's about on its last leg. Well, those are all things that as a buyer's agent that we protect you from getting ambushed, so to speak, by things about the house that you didn't know when you walked through that you need to know. What about that foundation? What about the roof? What about the age and condition? You know, just because it's rusty and is in good working order, well, you didn't know that. You didn't know that it was 14 years old. So there's another example. And then finally it has to do again with this loyalty and obedience to you, the buyer, not to the seller. Now, one more thing about dual agency. Some buyers like to go directly to the listing agent to get the information and to do the deal. They think maybe they'll save some money. But that agent who represents the seller cannot represent you fully. they already represent the seller, so it's what's called dual agency, which happens with both the seller's permission and with your permission. And it's also called limited agency because they cannot fully represent you or the seller working against one another to get either one the best deal. So this is why I recommend, and I'm advocating today, that you come directly to me as a buyer's agent. Let me get the facts on the house for you, and I'll tell you straight away if I think it's overpriced, or if I think that there's a better house down the street or on the other side of the community, or something that might suit your needs better, rather than trying to be a cheerleader for that particular house and going directly to the seller's agent. You probably are not going to hear about that better property, so to speak. Well, what does it cost? I've already said that it doesn't cost anything more, and that's because the price that you pay for having the service of a buyer's agent is already in the price of every listed property. The commission is split between the seller's agent and the buyer's agent. It's pre-agreed. It really makes it a no-brainer, frankly, for you to choose for and have a buyer's agent. And only paid at closing, only if you buy, only if you close. So as a buyer's agent, we do a lot of work that sometimes we just don't get paid for because you just don't buy. But by the way, I'll also say that the record for someone who I start to correspond with, which was very common, correspond, answer questions, send information, is 17 years between the initiation of the correspondence and the purchase. So please consider my service as your buyer's agent, but also please don't try to break the record, if you would, for that duration before you purchase. So I believe that you today as the consumer are really empowered tremendously by all the information out there on the internet about properties mostly, and I have very knowledgeable buyers who come to me who know all about a certain house or community that they want to go see and buy, and I love that because of course it saves me a lot of time, and it's much easier for me to work with a well-informed buyer than someone who doesn't know anything about the community at all. But I do think that as buyers you're challenged by finding a good agent. I think there's a lot less information out there on different agents, and that's why I've made this video, so I could talk to you directly about myself and my service and why I think that it's a good idea to have a buyer's agent. And of course I hope that you'll consider me top of mind when you decide to choose for your agent. I do have 38 years of Hilton Head Island experience. I am a former licensed South Carolina home builder, and my buyers find that very helpful in talking to them about new homes especially, but also resales, because it's what we're talking about. We're talking about homes, and it's a big decision, it's a big purchase. So please, let's work together and find the right home and community for you. And I hope that you have benefited from this brief discussion about buyer's agency and what it is, why you should have a buyer's agent, and what it costs. So again, my name is Richard Kadish. It's K-A-D-E-S-C-H. My company is Go Gated Realty, and I'm the Gated Community Specialist, ladies and gentlemen. Both Go Gated Realty and Gated Community Specialist are federally registered trademarks. My cell number, and please call anytime, is 843-684-2933. And my email address, rich@gogated.com. And my website is gogated.com. So thank you for watching. Please call or email. I look forward to meeting with you and working with you as your buyer's agent here on Hilton Head Island or in Bluffton, South Carolina. Thank you.